There are thrift stores all over the world filled with forgotten furniture, scratched up dressers, faded finishes, and pieces most people walk past without a second thought. But what if the beat up furniture could be turned into pieces that people actually want in their home again? And even better, what if it could make you money? Every time I walk into the thrift store, I'm not just looking at old furniture, I'm looking at potential. Come with me today as we go to the thrift store to find a piece that most people would probably ignore, and we're gonna make it look brand new and make a profit on it. All right, we're headed to the thrift store. I'm hoping we find a nice dresser. Dressers usually give the best return. I can usually find one for about 50 bucks and flip it for about 500 or more. If there aren't any good dressers, I usually look at nightstands. If you can find a matching nightstand set at the thrift store for a good price, they're super easy to sell on Facebook Marketplace. And then if there's no nightstands, no dressers, coffee tables are my third option. Today we're at the Habitat for Humanity store in Chicago. Just looking around, I find this dresser, but $210 is way too high. I spot this set of nightstands with marble tops, but $90 is not a great price either. And this dresser is really nice and 25% off, but even though it's a lane, $131 is a bit more than I like to spend on flips. It's not looking great at this store today, but let's check out the nightstand section just in case. I would probably buy these nightstands if the set was $40, but $40 each is not a great price. No luck here today, so let's check out a different store. So unfortunately, we struck out at Habitat Restore, but there are a few other good furniture thrift stores in the area, so hopefully we have better luck at the next one. Anything more than $70 for a used dresser is way too much, and unless it's a really special piece, I usually try to spend $50 or less. Brand name pieces like Lane can get you better resale value, but for over $100, it's not worth it. And funnily enough, we're back at a Habitat Restore, but a different location. And literally the first item in the store I check out is this wood dresser that's listed for only $40. It's really nice and it's got some very pretty wood grain. There's some damage on the top and the sides, but the scratches don't seem to be too deep, so we should be able to sand them down and get the dresser looking like new again. The legs and the stand make this piece look premium and will definitely help us get a higher selling price. And I didn't even realize that the entire store is 50% off, so the total was only $22 after tax and a small tip. Let's take it home. All right, we're all loaded up. $20, that was a steal. Honestly, 40 bucks I thought was a pretty good deal, but 20 with the 50% off discount is pretty crazy. When I get crazy deals like that at Habitat for Humanity or other nonprofit thrift stores, I always try to include a little extra tip. At this location, it was just a round up button, so it was only 30 cents, but it is a little something. So the dresser has a ton of beautiful wood. I don't want to paint all of it. I'll definitely keep the dresser top wood, maybe a few drawers, maybe the sides. I think I have to do some planning, but I think there's a ton of potential in this dresser for a great flip. All right, so the new plan is gonna be to completely restore the piece. I did a quick Google search and this is actually a very sought after dresser. We're gonna completely restore it because that's what's gonna bring the most value to this piece. All right, first things first, we need to sand everything down. So the sanding is gonna sand off the old finish, and then once we get to the wood, it'll sand a little bit of the wood down so that the scratches won't show. But before sanding, we need to take the hardware off the drawers. Even after removing the screws, they're still stuck on, so I use a putty knife to pry them off. Now we can sand everything down. I start with a 120 grit sandpaper to remove the old finish and to sand down enough to remove the scratches. But we don't want to sand down too far or we'll sand through the veneer and the finish will end up looking patchy. When sanding close to the edges of a surface, be extra careful to not sand through the veneer because it will sand down a lot quicker. Luckily, the veneer on this piece seems to be of good quality, so that shouldn't be too big of an issue for us. Once the old finish is removed, I work my way up to a 220 grit sandpaper to smooth the wood out and remove any swirl marks created by the coarse sandpaper. Then we can repeat those same sanding steps on the sides and the drawers of the dresser. If you're enjoying the flip so far, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss my future videos. And if you want to start furniture flipping yourself, make sure to check out my 44-page in-depth beginner's guide. It'll teach you everything I wish I knew when I first started furniture flipping. I'll put a link in the description and there's a link in my bio to it. All right, now I'm gonna use my detail sander. It's smaller and it'll be a whole lot better in getting the detailed parts of the dresser sanded down. With a large circular orbital sander, you're running a huge risk of sanding through the veneer. So that's why I use my detail sander on parts like this and the legs. I again use a 120 grit sandpaper to remove the old finish and work my way up to a 220 grit to smooth it all out. The legs aren't very scratched up, but we still need to remove the old finish so that we can match the stain color to the rest of the dresser. Once we have everything all sanded down, I wipe the entire dresser with some mineral spirits to get off all the dust. This is one of the most important parts of the process. Any leftover dust will cause the stain to absorb unevenly and might make the finish look blotchy. After letting the mineral spirits completely dry, we can begin the stain process. I think that this wood is teak, which is a very dense wood that doesn't absorb stain very well. So before staining, I apply a pre-stain conditioner to help the wood absorb the stain more evenly. And after about 30 minutes, the wood is ready for stain. And we're going with a dark walnut stain. In my experience doing furniture flips, dark stains can bring up the price of a piece significantly because the dark stain can make a piece look more premium, and it still keeps the real wood grain showing through, but gives it a more modern vibe. I wipe on the stain and let it sit for about 5 minutes, then I wipe off the excess to reveal the wood grain. Staining is easily the most satisfying part of a furniture flip, but mistakes can be very frustrating and can result in having to completely restart a project. So make sure to apply even coats of stain in the same direction as the grain and work in small sections of a piece at a time. While we let the stain fully dry, let's fix up the handles with some touch-up marker. These handles only have minor wear and would be incredibly tough to sand, so these wood markers are our best choice to freshen them up. I'm going with an oak colored marker because it matches the handles the best. I draw some marker on and then I wipe off the excess to help it blend with the finish better. And they do a great job on small fixes like this. Now that our stain is fully dry, we need to seal the wood to protect it from scratches and water damage. I pour on some wipe-on polyurethane, then I use a rag to wipe it evenly across the surface. I find that wipe-on polyurethane gives me the best feeling finish, but for high traffic areas like tables, a thicker brush on poly might be better. Now let's screw back on the hardware. Just a reminder, this is what the dresser looked like before and then after. I think it turned out beautiful. The wood grain looks stunning and the overall mid-century modern look turned out just like what I was picturing. Scratches on the sides are completely gone and the top looks brand new. We spent $20 on the dresser, about $40 on materials, and I'm listing it for $1,000. If we can find a buyer for that price, that gives us a profit of $940 in about 7 hours of work. So that's $134 per hour for this project, which I'm very happy with. Now all we have left to do is sell the dresser. All right, it's been about a week now. The dresser's been listed on Facebook Marketplace, and we finally found a buyer. There were a few messages right away within the first 1 or 2 hours, but those didn't come through. But now someone's actually coming to pick it up. They're gonna be here in about 15 minutes, so let's get it ready to load into their car.
Right.
No.
Nice to make that happen.
Yeah.
Nice looking fish. This could support a television.
I would guess yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. All right, and it sold. $1,000 is a fantastic price for a flip. I was super happy with the profit, super happy with the piece. Everything about this flip was awesome. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you want a furniture flip yourself, make sure to check out my guide. I'll leave a link in the description and a link in my bio. See you next time.